Pale summer moonlight shimmers on the seafloor. An octopus, unaware that dawn will bring capture, rests within a trap, dreaming fleeting dreams. This is the opening text shown at the beginning of Splatoon 2's Octo Expansion DLC. How's it going, everybody? If you're new to the channel, my name is Matthew, but also known as Odyssey64 on the Odysseus Dimension here on YouTube. Now, if you have heard of me, you may have noticed that I uploaded a Splatoon 2 theory video about 2 months ago, and it got enough traction to the point to where it reached 888 views, which is pretty funny and ironic to say the least, considering the fact that I'm talking about the origins of male Agent 8 and Agent 8 in general. So what I thought would be fun is to tackle another question that I've gotten ever since a misconception came to my realization, and that's what we're going to be tackling today, and I'll get into more of that later. So with that being said, everybody, if you guys enjoyed this type of theory video, leaving a like down below and subscribing to the channel would be very much so appreciated, and it would show that you guys enjoy these types of videos, and I'll make more of them, because that's how YouTube works. And with that being said, everybody, let's get right into the video. Now, the video I was talking about is called Top 10 Misconceptions that the Splatoon 2 community has, and I'll link that video in the description of this one. And probably the biggest one to me that I found interesting was that Octolings are not actually brainwashed. Now, personally, I was someone who held this theory concerning the fact that Octarians dabble with brainwashing techniques and equipment. So I thought this was like the most reasonable way as to how the Calamari Inkantation kind of works to sort of like remove that brainwashing effect. But considering the fact that this may not be true, now I'm just going to put this out there, Nintendo has neither confirmed nor denied this officially, at least I don't think. So it is still a possibility that they could be brainwashed. But just for argument's sake, let's say that they aren't, alright? Now, if they aren't, then the question is, how does the Calamari Inkantation truly work, and what does it do? And that's what we're going to be going into based off of the origins of the song in Splatoon lore and the Octolings. So our first piece of evidence comes from a sunken scroll from the first Splatoon game, called The Customary Chorus of Calamari Country. Nowadays, this song and dance may as well be carved into the very DNA of all Inklings. It began as a way to celebrate and show respect for the bounty of the sea. Now, this is the main chorus of Calamari Inkantation. If you know music theory and how music notes are read, you'll know this is the main part that Callie and Marie sang. Now, unfortunately, as I was researching for this video, I could not figure out what the text at the top is. It's probably a ancient Inkling language long forgotten to time, and there is no factual way for me to translate it. Now, the thing is that although it mentions specifically Inklings, since this language is sort of like extremely ancient, I believe this is probably very early in the Mollusk era. As you guys know, the Mollusk era is the time when Inklings, Octolings, and other sea creatures emerge from the ocean and achieve somewhat humanoid forms, and they begin to live on the surface before the Great Turf War began. Now, with that being said, although it does specify Inklings, if this song was written very early in the time back before the war between Inklings and Octolings, this could have probably been etched into the Octolings' hearts as well, which will be very important as to how the Octarians or Octolings specifically react to Callie and Marie's cover of this song. In Octo Expansion, Captain Cuttlefish mentions that this song has strange powers that no one can explain. And to his credit, we've seen them increase Inkling strength while weakening Octarian strength, and we've also seen it cure brainwashing in Callie's case. However, it seems this power seems only accessible to Inklings who hear this song, but at the same time, it seems to restore something within their spirits. As we can see, it restores Captain Cuttlefish's strength, and it restores Callie's memory. But the question still remains, what is it that Octolings gain from this song? And believe it or not, the answer lies, yet again, in Octo Expansion in Marina's chat room, where she says, "I could tell right away that Agent 8 had also been touched by the Calamari incantation. Once our souls have been freed, there's no way we can continue to live under the oppression of Octarian society." If the Calamari incantation restores what has been lost to the here, then the Octolings get their freedom restored. Freedom from the oppression of the Octarian society, which in conclusion would mean that in any future story mode, we will no longer see rival Octolings in our missions. Oh wait. It's no surprise the Octo Amazons, the female military group of Octarians, are indeed going to be returning in Splatoon 3's Return of the Mammalians. Now, this does put a couple of questions into our heads as to, even though most of the Octolings are freed now, why are these ones still fighting against... I was like, now fighting against their own kind, it seems now, since Octolings can now take part in the Squidbeak Splatoon and become the new Agent 3. And the answer to that lies in their biology. Now, there are two kinds of Octolings. We have the pure clones, which are the samples of other Octarians that have been basically cloned in a test tube and basically cloned and bred to fight. Whereas the ones that we see as Agent 8 in the other ones, and in Marina's case, are not the case. They are produced the normal way instead of cloning. Now, although things have said otherwise, with the Octarians being unable to produce that kind of way, the fact that Octolings such as Agent 8 and Marina do exist with a variety of different skin tones and eye colors proves that there is some existence of Octolings that can produce this way. And that definitely begs the question as to where are they? And again, I quote Marina from her chat room, living under the oppression of Octarian society. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, this is definitely more a question that humanity itself has to answer one day is cloning humanity a good thing? Now, as we can see, a lot of the Octarians look the same, a lot of the Octoling Amazons look the same, and that's all because they are cloning themselves to create this sort of perfect being. So what happens to the normal ones? The ones that didn't go through the processes, the ones that didn't decide to begin cloning themselves to become perfect? They would end up being inferior to the status quo, therefore being pushed under society, which would explain how they would be oppressed under. Like, they can still succeed, as we've seen with Marina, but not to the extent of the others. So now that we know that there are two different types of Octolings, we have the Octo Amazons, which are the clone ones, and the normal Octolings, we can now look more into what the Calamari incantation does to each version. Now, as we go through the story and Octo Expansion, there was a very limited amount of hairstyles, and I was very confused at first as to why they didn't have the Octo Amazonian hairstyle, and that's because we're not supposed to. These are clearly first-class citizens of the Octarians, with all the other ones being pushed underground, and the ones that we do get are for sort of like a more natural Octoling look, instead of it being sort of like this copy-paste, exact same all the time hairstyle, to create a difference between the two, because the Octo Amazons don't know anything else. That's just the way they look, that's the way they are. And that's why the Calamari incantation is so powerful to these normal ones, is because they can feel like they can belong in some sort of way. They feel free. the freedom that they've lost after being outclassed by their clone counterparts can be found on the surface and can be found in a new light. Marina makes an interesting point in this chat, saying that their souls have been freed, which, conducting cloning, in many cases like the Clone Wars and this, we don't know if these clones have souls. It's like, but if they do or if they don't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't work on them because the Calamari incantation has been etched into their DNA. The Octarians have long but forgotten about it. And the normal Octolings, even though it has been forgotten for such a long time, once they remember it and they can see a way to escape. That's what music is to a lot of people. It's an escape from whatever you're going through, and it's almost sort of like video games in a way to where you can kind of just escape and be free. So what does the Calamari incantation really do? It strengthens, and it reminds its listeners of who they really are and what they really want to do with their lives. It's kind of sad, really, knowing that without Callie and Marie, they would still suffer without knowing any ways to escape. The Octolings may not have been brainwashed by themselves, but they've been brainwashed by time. But once they hear that song once again, something clicks in their very hearts, their very souls, that allows them to find a way to escape. This changes everything, Marina says. Those were the last things that she said before she disappeared to the surface. And that is how many Octolings felt on that same day. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed, leaving a like down below and subscribing to the channel would be very appreciated, and I would love to see what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Odyssey 64, and I will see you guys next time.